What's up? What's up? What's up? It's LA Cheatham, Watch the Game podcast.
Checking in. What's up, good people? What's up, good people?
I reached out to some people over the past few days, and I want to thank those guys for subscribing to the channel. So feel free to share and comment and just subscribe to the channel as we grow. Watch the Game podcast. Pin. I got to be honest with you, man. It's not easy talking about an L, but we have the benefit of yet again taking a few days before we even talk about what happened with our Bears. And I want to kind of keep it on a high note because now we got to get ready for Minnesota. The Vikings, they go on the road to play the Minnesota Vikings coming up next. Couple things to cover tonight, man. We got college football. The NBA started up a little bit. We can get into that a little bit. But
don't forget about 62 for my man Aaron Judge.
Oh yeah. You know what? For the past few weeks when we've been talking, I just keep slipping my mind because but the Aaron Judge record-setting a home run slugger. I mean, congratulations to him. But I think if your Yankees stay in there, some way, somehow, I think we'll figure out a way to talk about more baseball. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, because at the local level, the Sox are out, the Cubs are out, your Yankees still in it. Like I said, down the road, we'll figure out a way to throw them in, I guess. But like we said weeks ago, man, once the football season kicked off, week 1, the most wonderful time of the year is, all of the sports are playing at one time. The NBA preseason has gotten started, and just a lot going on. But let's get into this. And since we've had a few days to think about it, how do you feel about our Chicago Bears?
I think last week we came on here, I was a little hot. I was a little hot last week. I'm still a little hot this week, but I'm hot for a different reason. I know last week we brought up, this is the first time head coach, it's the first time offensive coordinator. Justin Fields only got a handful of starts under his belt, so we got a lot of new people in first-time positions trying to make an impact in probably the hardest league, the most comprehensive team sport that there is out there, right? So that coming from that perspective, I think these guys included. I think a lot of men they gotta take the training wheels off of themselves and go for what they know. I know Flus is a defensive guy, cool. Getsy, you was the OC in Green Bay. You was with Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure Aaron Rodgers was probably steering that ship, but I'm sure you picked up some things along the way. Justin Fields, we saw what you were in Ohio State. We saw flashes and glimpses last year of what you can be as a starting quarterback in the National Football League. But right now, I think they're handcuffed. And I know we was texting during the game, and I said it looked like they're gonna let Justin play today. And your response to me was a lot of football left. Hold on before you say that. And as sure as you said that, when they got into the red zone, what did they do? They tightened it back in and didn't want to let him play, and that's just not gonna cut it. Especially on a team where it's, I guess, we talent deficient when we playing most other teams in the league. You gotta let your quarterback be a difference maker. Now he's not gonna probably make the right read every time, but you cannot put him back in situations where, Justin, we need you to read all the progressions, because I think a lot of it right now is he's seeing ghosts because the line can't protect him, so he can't get through his progressions. And two, I think they asking him to do I don't think what he's comfortable doing. Even breaks down to how it pertains to how his footwork is and some of his mechanics or whatever. If it was working, okay, Reggie Miller didn't have a prettier shot, but it was working. Let him do him and coach everybody else up around him. You didn't trade up what they took him 10th, 11th.
11.
First round. Yeah, you didn't go get him in the first round as a project. You brought him here because what you saw in college, you felt confident enough that this guy can be our quarterback for the next decade. We can build around him and make some things happen. But with that same thought process, you gotta let him play. He's gonna make some mistakes. That's okay. He's only in his second year. He ain't even really started a whole year, but you gotta afford him the opportunity to play the game, make the mistakes. Now, if he keeps making the same mistakes over and over, then we got a problem. But when you handcuffing him, you're not even allowing him a chance to make a mistake or make a play for that matter. So that was my biggest takeaway from the game. And also in this league, field goals instead of TDs is gonna get you beat every time. Threes instead of TDs is gonna get you beat every time.
You got that right. Michael Badgley came in. Cairo Santos had been out on some personal reasons away from the team, and they brought in Michael Badgley, and he went out and he was pretty much. It's a good thing he just had to show up because that was the only thing that was working for the Bears on Sunday. I want to go back to what you're talking about. Luke Getsy This is his first time being an offensive coordinator in the NFL. Play caller. He didn't call plays in Green Bay. See? And I think what's happening is he's getting to know Justin. Justin's getting to know him. But at the same time, now that we're 4 weeks in, going into week 5, and we had a little time to look at these games and to look at the New York game as far as myself. I've had an opportunity to look at this, and Justin is missing some plays from time to time. Part of it is because of the offensive line, and some of them he's just flat out missing them because I don't know if he's confident in the receivers. He missed commit on a couple dump offs. And then Mooney ran the wrong route on the play. But what happened was he ended up just wide open, and Justin didn't throw him the ball. I guess he didn't have his head up looking. Also, Justin, I don't understand is sometimes when he scrambled, he runs right into the defense. What I felt like on one of the plays, he scrambled and ran right into the safety. If he would just ran out of bounds, he would have got more yards, maybe even made an even bigger play. I think his vision, when he does decide to scramble, his vision could be better, and he's got to stay healthy. He's got to get to the sideline. Now, as bad as I want to see Justin succeed, I'm starting to see some of the things that other people are saying that he don't do well. But I'm not going to tear him down because we know the kid is talented. And I think up to this point, the fan base we got 4 years of, 4 years of Mitchell Trubisky. And then now we're being unfair to Justin, but not giving him the time to develop. It's clear that he's more talented than Mitchell Trubisky. He seems to be more mentally. He seems to be more mentally prepared than Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky looked skittish from time to time. When you look between his face masks, you can see it in his eyes that he wasn't really confident. But when you look at Justin, I see a confident young man back there trying to get the job done. And the interesting thing about Justin is how he's handling this adversity. And when he came into Chicago with all the hoopla, all the hype, all the expectations, everything was all hokey-dory. Everybody was, just couldn't wait to get the kid on the field. And now that he's experiencing some adversity and he's dealing with what kind of a negative media, maybe. I don't really want to say it's negative, but they're trying to pick his brain as to figure out why things are not going his way. And I think Justin has found himself where they're putting words in his mouth. So Justin's not just he's making adjustments on the field and off the field. He's got a tough situation ahead to be the franchise quarterback in Chicago, because on the field he has to make the adjustments and make the right decisions and plays. And then when he's dealing with the media, I'm starting to see now in some of these press conferences, he's taking a few pages out of Bill Belichick's book. He's starting to get
pretty direct. Yep.
Yeah, he's being really direct. He's doing a little bit more listening because he's waiting. He don't want them to put words in his mouth, and that's what they have been doing. It's like, don't get me wrong, he's saying some bonehead things, but like you stated after the Green Bay game, why do they interview these guys right after the game? I mean, it's like they're doing their job, and I mean that's just part of the profession. I mean, I think as Justin grows, he'll be able to just, listen, be a little bit better listener, and then be very cautious as how he answers these questions. And he's learning a valuable lesson about fans and the fan base. And it's going to be interesting to see how, let's say this thing turns for the better, how he's going to handle the media from that point on, because there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be ups and downs. And I hope Justin has a long career in Chicago. I really do. But there's going to be ups and downs. And I think Justin is learning so much about just being a professional on and off the field.
Jump on that point. I mean, in Justin's probably football career, this is probably the worst program he's been in as far as winning is concerned. Because, I mean, he came out of high school. He was highly touted, had a lot of success on the high school level. It was him and Trevor Lawrence going back and forth for the number one quarterback in the country. And then he goes to Georgia. Okay, he had a little adversity then. He didn't win the starting job. He left and go to Ohio State, and he was off and running. Again, another winning program. He comes to the Bears, and it's a lot of losing going on. Justin, I don't believe Justin is familiar with losing, comfortable with losing, and I probably if you gave him some truth serum right now, he probably giving a lot of dudes in that locker room some side eyes. He might give him some of the calls the coaching staff is making some side eyes, like, yo, what are we doing? Like, are we trying to win, or are we just out here playing for participation trophies? And when I say that kind of philosophy and thought process, you can see that kind of come out, especially when the Bears get to the red zone. Like, I think the stat that they touted out during the game on Sunday, hit first in the red zone was a pass, and then it was 22 straight runs, and that's over the course of going in 3 games. So going into the 4th game, they had ran the ball 22 times in the red zone. Like, yeah, let him play, and I know he got to be feeling that. And I text you, and we text back and forth during the game. I said, I feel like I am in the trenches with Justin, because not is being negative, but you can feel this thing starting to turn based off of the Mitch Trubisky, based off of the questions that they asking him, based off of, what was that, the press conference, I think, after the Packers, when he had to come out and set them straight a couple days after the game because they had misquoted him on some stuff. You can feel this thing starting to turn. So now it's not we just watching the game. Now I'm actually in the game with Justin, because I want to see him succeed here in Chicago.
And I do too. I mean, but I can't deny it. I'm starting to, like I said, you guys gonna get used to hear me say this as I watch football, basketball. I have learned as a fan to appreciate what goes on, and maybe what goes on in preparation and practices for these professional athletes. And I've learned to just kind of watch how they prepare and how they react to adversity and how they react to success. And it's just like, I'm looking at it with Justin. I'm like, I'm really starting to see some of the things. As much as I like him, I'm starting to see what he needs to develop. And when they said he was holding on to the ball, I'm seeing a little bit of that. But then you got like the pass he threw to Mooney. It's like you have the flash every now and then. He he clearly has the talent, but I just don't think the Chicago fan base have the patience. And all I can think of is if you want instant gratification, go get some microwave popcorn because this gonna take a while. You got this kid, you got to put him in the oven, okay? This is you baking. We gotta let this bake. Okay, this is
Yeah,
not minute rice. This is not minute
right.
rice. Okay, and if you want instant gratification, go get you some microwave popcorn. Okay, but everybody knows that the best popcorn is the one you put in the skillet, you put the oil in there, you let it get hot, and you let it pop up. And it takes a little time to get that popcorn, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
So we have to allow Justin to grow. We can't put the Mitchell Trubisky experience on his back. We can't put the 37, 38 years of not being a Super Bowl winner on his back. We can't put the Lovey Smith, what was that, '06 Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl loss to the Indianapolis Colts. That's not on Justin. That's not on Justin. What I would hate is for them to run this guy to town because I really believe this dude is a winner. But I don't know if Chicago has the patience to wait on him to develop. I mean, you gotta you stated a while ago that this was not Ryan Posen's guy, it's not Luke Getsy's guy. And you thinking, if it don't work out, they're gonna just run and get someone else, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and somebody like that. But
there right now. Yeah,
but you have to put more emphasis on the fact that Luke Getsy is a first-time offensive coordinator. And his next 4 games in. I mean, think about it. Justin's got more starts than Luke Getsy has games called in the NFL. And it's all under construction. The good thing is Luke Getsy, no other team can actually say he has tendencies yet. Because I believe this offense is under construction. I believe they're still installing plays, and I think they're still trying to figure out what they like, what works based on the personnel. And this is why it's not easy to sit back and watch them lose. But as a coach, I understand that it's going to take time. So I have a little bit more patience than most fans, and that's why I say coaching has really allowed me to become a better fan because I think I understand what's going on.
I'll give you that and echo with I'm not questioning. I'm playing devil's advocate right now. If you got a kid like Justin, that's your quarterback that you drafted, but then you hire a defensive minded head coach, well, you're probably going to have some issues. Number one, because probably his main philosophy is take care of the ball, don't put the ball in harm's way, field position, let the defense win the game. That's probably, to his core, that's how he thinks the best way to win a football game. Well, you don't really win football games like that in the NFL no more. It's a passing league. It's an offensive league. Everything is geared toward the offense. And I'm not saying this is a bad hire again for Flus to be in the position, but I do think you gotta look at the landscape around the league. We talked about Andy Reid, how he just is an offensive genius. We gave him his power last week. Who are some of the Sean McVay out in the LA Rams? Like these guys. Sean McVay had Jared Goff. He had Jared Goff. Jared Goff couldn't get it done. He went and got Matthew Stafford, and look, they off and running. And he still went to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff as an offensive play calling coach. So, as fans of the Chicago Bears, I think we got to realize what we have here. Yes, Patrick Mahomes. We passed on Patrick Mahomes. We passed on Deshaun Watson. Yes, we took Mitchell Trubisky. Yes, it didn't work out. Yes, we did all of those things, but we cannot hold that against Justin Fields. And that's what a lot of the issue is, and a lot of the negative feelings are coming from. Like, no, we can't, like you just said, Justin is not responsible for that. He's not. But at the same time, this kid is an offensive thoroughbred. Let him run. You can't. They playing Jim Harbaugh football. That's what they doing.
Well, I mean, I think the reason why me and you feel this way about Justin is because we had an opportunity to watch him play in college and really focus on him, because you being a Michigan fan, you couldn't stand him at the time, but you had to know what he was doing, because sooner or later your Wolverines will be matching up with him. So you understand what he could be, and I do too, because I watched him a little bit in college, but most fans, I don't think they watch a ton of college football. I mean, I don't know if a lot of Bear fans watch a ton of college football to the point where they week in and week out. We have to look at Justin week in and week out. And let me go back on that statement, because you're talking about Justin Fields playing at Ohio State, playing in the big time bowl games. So I'm gonna take that back. Playing in the Big Ten, I'm gonna give the Bears fans some credit. But I don't know if they really understood, why he was so successful, or how good he has to be at this next level. You said it yourself. You're playing at Ohio State. You got all these superior athletes around you. And we cannot negate the fact that the Bears don't have a lot of weapons. So it's either be one or two things. It's either going to be Justin's bad, or he has no weapons, or both. And right now I think it's a little bit of both, with a little bit of flash in there. Justin can make the plays with his feet, and I think he's been able to rely on his feet. But he has to develop the patience. But you can't develop the patience if the line is breaking down around you. There's so many things. Like I say, this team is under construction. There's so many things that have to be accounted for. The offensive line, okay, the pass blocking ain't that good. The run blocking is superb. I mean, it wasn't all that well against the Giants, but the pass blocking needs to be improved. You got Cody Whitehair. I think he just went down with an injury. I think he's going to be out for a while. Sam Mustipher, he got blew up at the center position against New York. So there's a lot of other people not playing well. And then you got a lack of talent on the perimeters. Okay.
I would kind of beg to differ there, because I would say that I think EQ can be serviceable in this league. I think Mooney can be serviceable. I don't think we have a true number one. I think Pettis can be serviceable. Now, N'Keal Harry, we didn't see much of him with the Patriots because he was hurt a lot. So we don't know what he is. So I'm going to throw him out. But when you got guys coming from playing with under Andy Reid, Byron Pringle, it's a reason he got paid, because the Bears looked at what he was doing with the Chiefs in that offensive-minded system. When he got his hands on the ball, he could make some things happen, right? Okay, cool. Let's just stay with the Chiefs and just use them as an example. The Chiefs brought in Juju Smith-Schuster this year. He's looking like he's having a rebirth. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or whatever his name is. He wasn't putting up this kind of production on the Green Bay Packers, but coaching makes a difference. These guys. If you're not going to use them, then it's going to look like we don't have weapons. I think EQ can be serviceable. Again, Mooney can be serviceable. Kmet got to play better, but I think he can be serviceable. There's some talent there, but I just don't think they play into the strength other than the running game.
I think it's a game of matchups, and I don't think the Bears have many guys on offense. Literally, I mean, Darnell Mooney is speed. He's a speed guy. Not very big, and I don't want to say he's not very strong, but he doesn't appear to be. He's a tough kid, tough dude. But when you talk about matchups, and you look around, look at some of the teams the Bears have played. We look at some of those, like the tight ends, and just some of these really big targets. And I think Justin needs a few big targets. N'Keal Harris, I think he's coming back. I think he just practiced. He just came back to practice, and he's going to be a big target. But there's outside of Mooney, there's nobody that's really proven anything. And I think it's making it easy to key in on Mooney. That's why that pass that Justin hit Mooney with early in the game against the Giants was so big, because maybe they caught him off guard, and he made that big play. But like you said, when they got in the red zone, they started to just like get conservative again.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans just want to see Justin just take some shots. Take some shots. You don't want to take so many shots to the point where he's just throwing the ball away. But you want to give him an opportunity to make plays, especially when you're going up against what's supposed to be an equally as bad of a team as the Giants were. I mean, you might want to take some shots. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's just on the offensive end. We ain't even touched on the defense, and that's what I talked to you about with last time we talked about Roquan. Did you want to play Roquan after the Texans game? And Saquon was the man. I mean, he didn't get in the end zone, but he was the decoy, and then you had Daniel Jones get 2 rushing touchdowns. No, you couldn't have told me that they were going to lose to the Giants like that.
Yeah, that was disheartening. Them giving up yards to Saquon really didn't bother me that much, because Saquon's really having a bounce back. I'm back to being Saquon Barkley type of year, so that didn't really bother me. Stars gonna be stars. He did what he was supposed to do. What bothered me was the rollout touchdown that Daniel Jones ran in, because Daniel Jones he's probably a below average quarterback. We say he's probably in the bottom third of the league, right? So the game plan coming in is, listen, we know this guy can do some things with his feet, but we're not going to let that happen. We're going to make him read the defense and throw the ball. If he does that enough, we probably going to get a takeaway. We probably going to be able to neutralize him and win the game. And to see them, and it was on the same play. How do you get fooled? What was the adjustment? What was that? The same play. 2 times in a row, he runs it in. I think both of them was over 20 yards. That's just not being prepared, and I don't think the scheme was correct going into the Giants. You got to make him throw the ball. Make him read. Way out of New York. But you made him look like a Pro Bowler.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think they were caught a little off guard, and they did a hell of a job with those keepers when they, hiding that football, tucking it in. Like, don't get me wrong. Saquon Barkley was a big decoy in a lot of them plays, and that's what allowed, they sent all the attention to Saquon, and that's what allowed Daniel Jones an opportunity to bust out and make some of those big runs. But the Bears did make adjustments in the second half, and that's why Daniel Jones ended up getting hurt, because I think when Brisker stayed home, you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to learn a lot from a lot of former players as I see these interviews, and they talking about, okay, you got an assignment. Okay, somebody's got to go to the running back, and then somebody got to stay home just in case the quarterback spills out. So Daniel Brisker made that adjustment in the second half, and he ended up injuring Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones had to go out of the game. And then this just to go to the creativity of Brian Daboll. Now, he brought in the backup quarterback they had. The brother, man, I forget his name, but The interesting thing is when it got to be crunch time, they went into the Wildcat a couple times and let Saquon play quarterback. Okay, now off the subject a little bit. That just goes to show you how good Saquon is, or how bad the Bears defense really was schemed up for the Giants. Because Saquon was the most important player on the offense for the Giants. And he caused the Bears to make so many mistakes. I don't care if he was in a decoy situation. I don't care if he had the ball in his hands. I don't care if he was just sitting back there playing quarterback. They put so much attention on stopping him, and he still did his thing. He allowed other people to just be so more successful, like Daniel Jones to be, for instance. So Alan Williams, the defensive coordinator for the Bears, he made his adjustments in the second half. All first half, he got out coached, but I got to give it to him. He did make his adjustments in the second half. But you go back to the offense, and you talk about weapons. We heard about Velus Jones for 2 weeks. Now they go out and they draft this guy. We knew in the offseason, we knew the Bears needed another wide receiver, and they go get Velus Jones. And 2 weeks before this game, everybody was talking about Velus Jones about to make his return. And yeah, he was in the punt return game. But I wish they would have just put him in position where he could have had a couple plays in the offense where we could kind of see what him and Mooney, two fast receivers. I would like to see what him and Mooney can do together. But maybe he's not up to speed with the playbook. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's not up to speed with the playbook. Maybe they needed more time before they can scheme him up. Maybe we'll see Velus Jones schemed up a little bit more against the Vikings, because to go back on the punt return, he muffed that punt, and I can't imagine he just can't wait to get back on the field and make up for that.
I know we're highlighting a lot of bad or negative things, but that was a one-score game. We lost that game 20-12. We had a chance, and unfortunately, he muffed the punt. So we don't need to be too down, but it kind of hurts because that's a game we could win. That's a team that we look at like, oh, they got the same talent level as us. They're not expected to do much. This is a game we can win. We can be in this. So that's why it's a little bit frustrating. But again, they go offensive scheme of the Giants. Saquon being a superstar, I think our defensive scheme, particularly in the first half, was not really geared up for the Bears to have success. But even with all of that, it was still a one-score game, and we had a chance. We had an opportunity to, get the ball back and go down the field and score. Now, I'm not confident that we would have scored because we were playing field goal football all day, but we still was in a one-score game.
And probably one of the most exciting plays in that game was the last one, when they were just scrambling around trying to get the score.
Play. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked kind of. Crazy as it sounds, it was kind of encouraging to see that they were willing to fight to the end, so to speak. But I'm going to dial it back a little bit. I just don't expect to win because of Justin right now, because they don't have a lot. It's just so many things under construction. The defense is under construction. The offense is under construction. Matt Eberflus's new head coach. It's just so many inexperienced things. People getting experience in some key places. Like even to the receiving corps, you got a bunch of guys that have an opportunity to come to Chicago and prove their worth because they were like second or third street guys. We talking about Byron Pringle and EQ St. Brown. These guys were not the primary receivers in places like Green Bay and Kansas City, but they come to Chicago with a legitimate opportunity to have an opportunity to show their worth in this NFL. So I mean, it's still so much under construction, man. So many different people with so much to prove, and it's sad because the Chicago the fan base just don't have the patience.
Don't have the patience, and you have to give these guys the opportunity to show if they can make this league. Just think about when you first started driving. Okay, when you first started driving, you wasn't taking no cross country trips. You wasn't getting on the E-way doing 85, 90. No, you first started out going around the block. Okay, I got that down. Now let's build on to the next thing. These guys are on the E-way in the slow lane, going 20 miles per hour, and it's like, yo, it's okay. At least let them get merged into the middle lane. We gotta see. Can they swim out here? And if you're gonna keep them in that slow lane, guess what? Patience is gonna run out. This coach is gonna be fired. Getsy is gonna be gone. Justin is gonna be gone, and we're gonna be doing this thing all over again on Watch the Game podcast with another regime.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing. The most important thing is how the organization feels about what's going on. How the Bears organization, McCaskey's, Ryan Poles, so on and so on, how they feel about what's going on with the Bears. 4 games in, man. The 4 games in with Ryan Poles being the general manager. Now, I'm extremely proud of that dude to be a black GM in Chicago. I mean, I just want to see it work. I want to see it work. I feel good about Poles. I feel good about Fields. I got the patience. I don't know if the fan base has the patience. And then next thing you know, like you said again, we doing it all over again. We stripping everything back down to the stud. But we're gonna look at the Minnesota game. This can be ugly too. But to go from New York to Minnesota to see what kind of adjustments they make, you got Cook, Dalvin Cook. I mean, pick your poison. And Jefferson, right?
Thielen.
Hey, it's some matchup problems for Minnesota. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself talking about what I expect in that game, but certainly looking forward to see the growth of the Bears as far as getting ready for them, and the adjustments on defense got to be up to point. Obviously, you got to throw the ball. You can't just run the ball against the Vikings. You got to throw the football. So maybe Justin get a chance to throw the ball around a little bit if he gets the time, and that can go 2 ways. I mean, it could be successful, or he can get picked off a few times. I mean, we don't know, but I think you just want to see him get the opportunities to throw the ball around the yard.
I need to see. We all need to see. Yeah, we know Justin can drive around the block in Field Street. We need to see, can he make it from Field Street to Chicago? You can't do that riding around, and they gotta let him try. That's all I need to see. Let him try. Give him the opportunity.
Let's get to a high note though. N'Keal Harry comes back. I think I pointed that out earlier. So we don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be a couple of weeks before we can see him really get some opportunities to make plays. But he comes back, we get a chance to see what kind of adjustments this defense can make. If the offensive line, it's all under construction, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. It's all under construction. It's all under construction. But let me give you some words of encouragement. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. Just think about that for a minute. And think about what Jalen Hurts and the Eagles were 2 years ago. Now, still only 4 weeks into this football season, but I think the Eagles are 4-0. And when I was watching the San Francisco game against the Rams, when I saw San Francisco play the Rams on Monday night, I turned over to ESPN2 and I watched it with the Archie Manning and Peyton Manning, and they had Jalen Hurts on with them watching the game for a little bit. And Jalen Hurts said something that kind of stuck with me. He said that this is his first time since high school where he's been with the same offensive coordinator for 2 seasons in a row. And I thought about Justin. Excuse me. This is what you got to think about. If Luke Getsy and Justin can get 2 to 3 years working together, does the fan base in the organization, most of the organization, have the patience to let them grow? I think Luke Getsy has just as much to prove as Justin. And he gets the opportunity to work with this man for 2 years. Who knows?
Trust Jalen Hurts to be their guy. Great. And before the draft, and get you AJ Brown. So you got some certified weapons on the outside. We believe in you. We think you can do this. And that support, I'm sure, he feels that support and knows, like, I can go out here and just play. It looks like Justin's doing a lot of thinking. He got a lot on his shoulders. There's a lot of adversity going on right now. I get it. But it starts at home. I think this organization, this coaching staff, again, they got to give him the opportunity. I feel like if he felt like he was getting the opportunity to play, but his frustration, I think, is they not letting me do nothing. They not letting me do nothing. I can't do nothing. They want me to take care of the ball. I can't turn it over. If I do this, then, is the media going to be asking me this. The organization, give him the vote of confidence. Kill all this noise about, hey, we might be looking at Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Kill all that noise. Come out and say, Justin is our guy, and we're going to see this thing through. That's the one difference I will say between Justin and Mitch. I think the organization was committed to Mitch very early on. It wasn't until that last year that they kind of moved off of him, and you kind of felt that. Second year, and it shouldn't be feeling like this already. You don't even know what he can do.
Well, I'm gonna tell you the difference between Mitchell Trubisky's rookie season and his second year. The biggest difference between that was John Fox, an established head coach, went out and got Vic Fangio. They built that defense. And Matt Nagy benefited from it. 2018. Bottom line, and that's another thing. The Bears fans are still hurting from 2018. I can't. They still hurt, man. And look, Matt Nagy was not the coach of the year, in my opinion, in 2018, but they gave him the award. They interviewed Vic Fangio to be the coach, but they gave the job to Matt Nagy, and they were able to talk Vic Fangio into staying in town for another year. And that's when 2018 happened. And then you get Khalil Mack and Roquan. We went over it once before. I don't think I have to go over again. But if we're going to compare Mitchell Trubisky to Justin, two totally different things, because Mitchell Trubisky was playing under an established head coach for his rookie season. And then when his second season, he had one of the best defense in the league. Field position was off. Field position was much better. They were scoring points. The defense was scoring points, because even then, Matt Nagy's offense wasn't scoring any points. But I don't want to get off of that. All I know is Matt Nagy wasn't the reason why 2018 happened, and that was the difference between Mitchell Trubisky's first 2 seasons and what we're starting to see with Justin Fields' second season. You got a new head coach, first-time head coach, first-time OC, Now, Alan Williams, he was a defensive coordinator. I think he was a defensive coordinator in Minnesota at one point. But he's the only one with experience at his position as far as now. They went and got the special teams coach from San Fran. That he had that experience coming from San Fran. But Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy, they're doing their jobs for the very first time in the NFL. So it's just all under construction. So put on your hard hat. Pick one, orange, blue, whatever. But you got to put on a hard hat and get in on this construction with the Bears if you're a real Bear fan. Okay?
It's a lot of hot take Bear fans out there too. Let's acknowledge that. It's a lot of hot take. They don't watch the game.
Yeah, and only this. I got some tickets to the bandwagon. Now all you Bear fans that's on and off the bandwagon, this thing is going to take some time. I think I got the patience. I'm with Justin. Fields. If they do him wrong, I'm gonna be pissed. But at the same time, at the same time, Justin has some things where he has to be better at. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I try and cut this thing down the middle. He has some things that he must get better at. And hopefully they'll give him the opportunity to do it. But you can't do it unless he build that offensive line and get a man some weapons. You can't say he bad and he has no weapons. Because it's going to be one or the other. I tell you again, Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia, a couple years ago, they go get him some weapons. A.J. Brown, right? Was the kid from Alabama. The wide receiver that he played with at Alabama. I forget the kid's name right now. Two legitimate weapons. Okay? And you see where they at? There's a lot of football to be played. 4-0 Eagles. There's a lot of football to be played. But what I'm saying is that's the type of patience that I hope the organization has with Justin and Luke Getsy, because I'm going to point out to you again, Jalen Hurts said this is the first time he's been with the same coordinator for 2 years in a row since he was in high school, playing with his father. That's a lot to be he said a lot. And I don't know if a lot of people understand, you know, when you got to get under the system for a while. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they had a chance to work under one system for years. And Justin, we just got to be patient with the dude. I can also see that Justin don't want to turn the ball over too. Okay. Bottom line, we got Minnesota coming up. We're gonna get off that train. We're gonna talk about the Wolverines. We're gonna finish up with some NBA basketball. Your Wolverines went and they defeated the Hawkeyes, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and I just think I thought that was a big test for J.J. McCarthy.
The plan was pretty much chug it down, don't turn the ball over. I mean, that was the number one, I think, scoring defense in the nation because the offense hadn't been putting up no points. Going into Iowa, that's always a tough place for teams to play. The record has shown that top 5 teams go in there and they knocked them off. So that was a big start for him, a big feather in his cap moving forward. His first road start, no turnovers. I think he had 2 touchdowns. I think he threw 1 touchdown pass. The defense, we seeing some stars develop on the defense. Mike Morris, I can't remember number 18's name. He's a transfer from Bama, but. Definitely a good win. I was very nervous going into that game because, like I said, Iowa just finds a way to beat top-ranked teams. But getting out of that, and that game wasn't really close. Michigan controlled that game from start to finish.
And I think Corum had a big day as well.
He's playing his way into the Heisman conversation.
That's something I hadn't thought about, but you can't deny that. He teams in the top four. I mean, he's getting his Aiden Hutchinson on quietly but surely. And I think if Michigan continues to stay in the top four and he continues to play like this, he has to be in the race. He had to be in the race. Then okay, so Georgia, they dropped from 1 to 2. I told you last week before last, I told you, I said I didn't like the way Georgia played against Kent State. So I watched on Saturday where they played Missouri, and they were trailing most of that game. They made a ton of mistakes. Didn't look like the number one ranked team in the nation. So they dropped down to number 2. And then Ohio State beat up on Rutgers. They look like Ohio State. The biggest matchup right now, I think, is Ohio State and Michigan. Because I just think if Alabama and Georgia meet up, Georgia don't have, man, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I just don't think Georgia's that good. I wouldn't be surprised if they get knocked out of the top 4.
As I was watching the Georgia-Missouri game, I'm looking at the quote-unquote talent that they got on the outside, and I'm like, they really kind of void of talent on the outside. Other than Bowers, the big tight end they got, they really don't have any playmakers or game changers on the outside, and that's kind of foreign for an SEC team because they got them all over the field. They don't really have that. They got that great defense. They got Stetson Bennett came back. He's a returning national championship winning quarterback, so you can't take that experience away from him. But yeah, I agree with you. They don't look like the number one team in the nation. We'll see what they would have to play Bama in the SEC championship game, so we would have to wait all the way to the first weekend in December for that. But yeah, the most intriguing matchup right now looks like it would be the Wolverines versus the Buckeyes that Saturday after Thanksgiving. We might be looking at a 2006 situation where they was 1-2 in the country coming into that game. So hopefully no hiccups for us, at least. If Ohio State has some hiccups, that's their problem. But hopefully we can keep this thing rolling and get to Columbus 10-0.
Yeah. We're gonna wrap it up. I had a chance to watch a little NBA basketball, and not to point out anyone in particular, but all I want to do is take this time out because I'm not a huge NBA basketball fan because of the style of play, the shot selection, and the game management issues that I think they started with Russell Westbrook was in Oklahoma City. And then you got the shot selection where everybody want to shoot the 3 with the Steph Curry influence. But what I'm going to do is this basketball season, I'm going to try to become a better NBA basketball fan. And I want to have a little bit more appreciation for what it is those guys are doing out there, because I understand this is not our granddaddies and our daddies. This ain't the 80s. It's not the 90s. We playing this positionless basketball, but I just don't think positionless basketball works for every team. I just think that somebody has to play to a matchup and somebody has to play in a situation. What I'm saying is, you see all these teams, you look at the turnovers, we're going to look at the stats with the discrepancies on turnovers and the percentage teams are shooting from 3. Shot selection, turnovers. Shot selection, turnovers, and defense. So I think I'm going to cover the NBA from a little different perspective than most. So watch the game and be ready, because I think here we're going to do something a little different as it comes to basketball. I love the game of basketball. I just don't agree with the way it's being played in NBA all the time, because I just don't think everybody can play the same. You got you compare it to like what I've seen. I watched a little bit of the WNBA, and we know the superior athletes in the NBA. I mean, the best in the world. But I looked at the way the WNBA game was played with more variety, mid-range, threes, defense. Just hard, tough defense. They played really hard. I really appreciated how they played the game, and I just really wish. I really wish. I want to see. I want to see more of an effort on defense and rebounding in the NBA. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like I said, we're gonna look at the NBA in a little bit different way. I know me myself personally, I am. I'm gonna look at it a little bit different than most this season. I'm gonna try and have a better appreciation for the NBA game because it is not my granddaddy's league anymore. It is not the Dr. J league I grew up on. Sure the hell ain't the Mike league. You know what I'm saying?
Not even the Kobe league.
It's not even that. It's not even that.
It's not even the Kobe league, and I'm with you. I think we're gonna get to a point where people are gonna start playing a more mid-range game more. I'm just waiting for that switch to happen because everybody can't shoot threes. Right now, it's just a 3-point shooting contest. Whoever makes the most threes generally wins the game. But I'll be interested. I watched a little preseason so far. I wanted to see what Ben Simmons looked like on the floor after being off. So I watched some of the Nets preseason game versus the Sixers the other day. I'm a Kyrie fan on the court. I can't defend the stuff he be doing off the court, but I think that dude, the way he's so gifted and talented to put the ball in the basket from all three levels. About variety. Kevin Durant, same way, can score from all three levels. I like watching those guys play. My team is the Miami Heat. Jimmy Butler, again, he's a mid-range guy. He's going to play defense. His effort and intensity is going to affect winning. So I like to see those guys play. But outside of watching Brooklyn, watching Miami, I keep up with what's going on with the Lakers. Shout out Cutter Pac-Man and Sean and Dev because, they big Lakers fans. So I keep up with the Lakers for them. But outside of that, I'm really not watching too much NBA basketball other than the highlights. So this year, I definitely, like I said, Brooklyn, Miami, if you want insights on that, I'll be on top of that. And I just want the game to come back from the 3-point shooting contest to get back to some more, hey, let's shoot some twos. I like the way Kawhi plays. I like the way Paul George plays. It's guys in the league that I like. Luka dribbling the ball and dominating the shot clock and shooting the ball 37 times. Not really a fan of that. He's a great player, but I'm not really a fan of that style of basketball. So we'll see what this season what the season it has in store for us.
Let me bring something to your attention. I had a chance. I watched the Bulls game. The Bulls played the Pelicans, and the Bulls picked up Andre Drummond, right? Let me explain to you. I seen something. I was like, damn, this game has really changed. I seen Andre Drummond in a dribble handoff situation. Now, when I say that, think about that for a minute. Andre Drummond in a dribble handoff situation. Andre Drummond he's trying to bring his game to the dribble, package, shoot variety. He's trying to, don't get me wrong, I'm all for improving your game, but I'm just saying that was Andre Drummond in their dribble handoff. Think about that for a minute. But I'm going to try and appreciate it. I'm going to try and have a better appreciation for it.
These guys want to stay in the league. They looking for their payday. They know they have to expand their skill set. But Andre Drummond, when you say that name, you don't think of that's his game. His game is getting rebounds, putbacks, and defending the rim. That's what he does. So, But kudos to him for working on his game.
And then I'm gonna close with this. You know when the Bulls got better in that game? There was a kid they drafted from Arizona. I want to say his name is Dalen Terry. He came out and he became more of a facilitator, kind of like Lonzo. And that's when the Bulls kind of got better as that night went on in that game. So he played more of a traditional facilitate, push and facilitate, run the lanes. Look, watch the game podcast. Watch the game podcast. We're gonna look at the NBA totally different from most. Penn, it's been real. Thank you guys for watching. Watch the game podcast. We'll probably come back at you next Monday, Tuesday. I got to get with Penn on that. So, watch the game. Thanks for joining.